Jack's Tauren wiped the grease from his hands onto a rag that had seen better days. The scrapyard stretched before him like a metal jungle. Towering hulls of old starships leaned into each other, their paint flaking, their circuits silent for decades. In a world that moved fast, where new ships soared between stars with lightspeed engines, the relics of the past were mostly forgotten, but Jax loved them. They were puzzles waiting for a mind that refused to give up. Jax's life was not glamorous. He had grown up in the lower districts of Suras 7, a mining planet that hummed with machines day and night. Money was always tight and work was scarce, so he turned to what he knew best, fixing what everyone else had given up on. Broken hovercars, abandoned shuttles, and crashed drones, anything that could be salvaged he would try. Often, his successes were small, just enough to get a few credits to survive. But today was different. Today, he had stumbled upon something extraordinary. It was tucked in a corner of the scrapyard, half hidden beneath the shadows of towering ships and piles of twisted metal. At first glance, it looked like any other derelict vessel, dusty, scratched, and silent. But as Jax approached, his heart beat faster. There was something about the shape, the curves, the almost regal silence that spoke to him. He circled the ship, running his hand along the hull. The metal was cool and surprisingly solid, despite the layers of dust and rust. Engravings caught his eye, a series of symbols and intricate designs that hinted at a time when humans had reached far beyond their current reach. The name, embossed on the side, made him catch his breath, Solistara. He had heard legends. The Solistara was rumored to have been one of humanity's most ambitious starships, built over a century ago to explore the farthest reaches of known space. But it had vanished decades ago, leaving behind only rumors and half-forgotten stories in the history databanks. And here it was, sitting in a scrapyard, waiting. Jax ran a hand over the main hatch, feeling the subtle vibrations beneath the metal. Surprisingly, the hull was intact. The outer plating was scratched and weathered, but there were no gaping holes. Whoever had left it here must have thought it beyond repair, but Jax was not most people. "Let's see what you're hiding," he whispered, forcing a grin despite the dust in his nose. The first challenge was simple, opening the hatch. The mechanism had been inactive for decades, and no human alive knew its sequence by memory. Jax studied it carefully, tracing the engraved patterns and listening for subtle clicks in the old machinery. Hours passed. He grew tired, his fingers raw from twisting, turning, and adjusting the locks. Finally, with a satisfying click, the hatch gave way. A musty smell met him, a mixture of old metal, burned circuits, and the faint trace of machine oil. Inside, the ship was dark but not lifeless. Jax switched on his portable lights and stepped in carefully. The interior was frozen in time. Panels lined the walls, wires coiled neatly, and seats were tucked into the consoles as though the crew had just stepped out for a walk that never returned. This is incredible," he muttered. He explored further, noting the careful layout of the ship's command center. The captain's chair was cracked but still sturdy. The control panels were covered in dust, but the engraved symbols on the screens suggested hidden functionality. Jax ran his fingers along the consoles, pressing buttons, flipping switches, and occasionally cursing when nothing happened. Hours turned into days. He slept on the floor of the ship, surviving on ration bars and water he brought from his quarters. Every day he discovered more. Some systems responded weakly to his tinkering, lights flickered, then steadied. Pumps hissed as air circulated through vents that hadn't been used in decades. The ship was old, but it was not dead. It was alive, waiting. Then came the first spark. A low hum resonated through the floor panels as Jax activated a circuit he had restored. The lights on the control panels flickered to life, casting a soft glow across the room. It wasn't much, but it was proof. The Solistara could still respond to human hands. Jax grinned, exhaustion forgotten. This was more than a job, it was destiny. Every day, he found himself learning more about the ship systems, discovering parts that had been lost to time. There were automated repair drones hidden in panels, AI logs that hummed faintly, and energy cores that, with careful handling, could be revived. But the work was not without danger. The ship's age meant some systems were unstable. A misstep could result in sparks, smoke, or worse, injury. Jax worked carefully, relying on his instincts and his years of experience. He moved like a dancer, each motion precise, each action deliberate. He also discovered something unexpected. The ship seemed to respond to him. Small lights blinked when he spoke, screens activated when he approached, and subtle vibrations beneath the floor hinted at a recognition he could not explain. Perhaps it was the old AI sensing a capable human, or perhaps it was something else, something more. Despite the excitement, Jax knew he could not do this alone. Supplies were running low and parts were missing. He needed help, but he also knew that if word spread about the Solistara, others would come. Not all humans were as scrupulous as him. Scavengers, rival mechanics, and even corporate salvage crews might try to take it for themselves. So he worked in secret, hiding the ship behind stacks of broken hulls and covering its traces with layers of dust and debris. Each night he returned to his small quarters, dreaming of the stars he would see once the ship was ready. The Solistara was more than a relic. It was a bridge to the past and a key to the future. Jax imagined the stories it could tell, the missions it had carried, the worlds it had seen, the knowledge humanity had lost. And he realized that, in a way, he had been chosen. Out of all the humans alive, he was the one who had found it, the one who could awaken it. Weeks passed. Jax restored the engines, repaired the life support systems, and coaxed the AI logs back online. Each day brought new discoveries, new challenges, and new excitement. Every time he solved a problem, he felt a surge of pride, not just for himself, but for all of humanity. If this ship could fly again, it would prove that humans were not weak, not irrelevant, not forgotten. The final test came on a quiet morning. Jax climbed into the captain's chair, hands trembling with anticipation. He initiated the main sequence. Lights flickered, panels hummed, and the hum of the engines began to fill the cabin. The Solistara shivered, then stabilized, as though stretching after a long sleep. Jax leaned back, feeling the vibration under his hands, the life returning to the ship. He smiled, eyes bright with excitement. "Welcome back," he whispered. "Let's see what we can do together." For the first time in a century, the Solistara was awake, and with it, the promise of adventure, discovery, and human ingenuity. And Jax, a simple mechanic from a forgotten corner of the galaxy, was ready to lead the way. The stars outside seemed to twinkle a little brighter that day, as if acknowledging that humanity had not yet finished writing its story. And in the shadows of the scrapyard, unknown to anyone else, the Solistara waited patiently, ready to remind the galaxy that humans, though underestimated, could achieve greatness even after 100 years of silence. Jax Torin could hardly sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the flickering lights of the Solistara's control panels and felt the gentle vibration under the floor as the engines hummed quietly. The ship was alive now, a sleeping giant he had managed to wake. And yet, even with all its systems working again, he knew he was only scratching the surface of its true potential. Days turned into weeks as he explored more of the ship. Jax had learned how to power the navigation systems, bringing the ancient star maps to life. The AI, a soft voice he named Orion, greeted him every morning with a calm tone that seemed almost human. "Good morning, Jax," the AI said the first time it spoke fully. "It appears you have successfully activated over 78% of my primary systems." Jax grinned, rubbing his tired eyes. "Morning, Orion, and you're welcome." Orion's sensors scanned him, and the voice continued. "Your skill in mechanical systems is remarkable. It has been centuries since a human has interacted with me this efficiently." The compliment made Jax feel proud, but he quickly returned to work. There were still so many systems offline. Communications, weapon arrays, defense protocols, and the ship's shield generators needed attention. And beyond all that, the most intriguing part of the Solistara remained untouched: the hidden mission logs. Jax had discovered a secure data vault, encrypted with a method so advanced that even the best human engineers of today would struggle. But he was no ordinary engineer. For hours, he traced code patterns, deciphered sequences, and unlocked algorithms. With each breakthrough, he felt the ship responding, as if it were testing him, acknowledging that a worthy human was finally in command. When the vault finally opened, Jax felt a shiver run down his spine. Inside were records of humanity's greatest exploratory missions, long-lost colonies, forgotten discoveries, and detailed information about worlds humans had visited centuries ago but never recorded properly. "This is everything," Jax whispered. "It's like the history of human exploration all here." Orion's voice softened. "Indeed, my purpose is to continue humanity's legacy. You were chosen because you possess the ingenuity to operate me efficiently. Others may fail where you will succeed." Jax stared at the glowing holographic star maps. His mind raced. If he could follow these coordinates, he could rediscover lost colonies, bring knowledge back to humanity, and perhaps prove once again that humans were capable of greatness. But he wasn't alone. Rumors of the Solistara's reactivation spread faster than Jax could have imagined. From the shadows of nearby star systems, alien scavenger crews, long convinced that humans were weak and irrelevant, caught wind of the ship. These alien groups were technologically advanced but overconfident. They believed humans would be no challenge. And they were wrong. The first encounter happened one quiet night. Jax had just completed repairs on the secondary propulsion system when a sudden tremor shook the Solistara. Warning lights flashed across the control panels. Through the reinforced observation window, he saw sleek alien ships moving swiftly toward the scrapyard. "They're here," he muttered, heart racing. Orion's voice was calm, almost comforting. "Threat detected. Scanners identify multiple hostile vessels approaching at high velocity. Their intent appears to be acquisition of the Solistara." Jax swallowed hard. He had never faced anything like this. The Solistara was powerful, but these alien ships were no ordinary scavengers. They were coordinated, experienced, and ruthless. If they boarded the ship, they could easily overpower him. But Jax did what humans did best. He improvised. He studied the ship's defensive systems, many of which had been dormant for decades. With careful manipulation, he activated the ship's magnetic pulse shields, which sent waves of energy outward, deflecting the alien scanners and temporarily confusing their targeting systems. Then he used the ship's automated repair drones to create decoy energy signatures, making it appear as if the Solistara had already been abandoned. The alien ships hesitated. Jax's quick thinking had given him a momentary advantage, but he knew it wouldn't last. They would adapt, and soon they would come closer, probing for weaknesses. Orion's voice broke the tense silence. "Jax, the vessel is capable of more than defensive maneuvers. I can assist in activating the legacy systems, experimental engines, untested energy grids, and auxiliary weaponry. These systems are designed to protect the vessel and ensure mission continuity." Jax hesitated. "Untested?" "Yes," Orion confirmed. "They have not been activated in over a century. Humans thrived on challenges." Jax gritted his teeth. "Then let's see what humans can do." With Orion's guidance, Jax rerouted power to the auxiliary systems. Panels glowed brighter than they had in 100 years. Energy cores roared to life, filling the cabin with a low hum that resonated through the floors. Jax felt a surge of confidence. The Solistara was no longer just a relic. It was a weapon, a fortress, and a vessel of human ingenuity all in one. The alien ships closed in, scanning for life forms and energy signatures. Jax waited for the perfect moment, then initiated the main engines. With a shudder and a burst of light, the Celestara lifted from its resting place, hovering silently for a moment before accelerating. The alien crews fired, but their attacks barely grazed the shields. Jax maneuvered the ship through the scrapyard's narrow corridors of twisted metal, using every instinct he had honed over years of salvaging ships. The Celestara responded as if it trusted him, its controls intuitive and reactive. Even Orion seemed impressed. "Your human reflexes are remarkable," the AI admitted. Jax smirked. "We have to be if we want to survive." For hours, the chase continued. Jax wove the Celestara through asteroid fields and derelict stations, using both the environment and the ship's hidden systems to outmaneuver the alien ships. Each time they tried to flank him, he countered with clever use of the legacy systems: decoy holograms, magnetic pulses, and bursts of energy from auxiliary engines. Finally, exhausted but victorious, Jax managed to shake the last of the alien pursuers. He breathed heavily, his hands still gripping the control panels. The Celestara floated silently in the darkness of space, its engines quiet but ready. Orion spoke softly, almost reverently. "You have done well, Jax. Humanity's legacy is safe for now. But there are more challenges ahead. The information in my memory banks leads to distant systems where human colonies may still survive, waiting to be rediscovered. You must be prepared for more than scavenger attacks. The galaxy is vast, and not all species respect the ingenuity of humans." Jax leaned back, staring out at the stars. He felt a mix of fear and excitement. This was bigger than anything he had ever imagined. For the first time, he realized that the Celestara was not just a ship. It was a key to humanity's forgotten past, and perhaps the start of a future where humans would be remembered across the galaxy. Days passed as he studied the ship's logs and star maps. He discovered coordinates to planets that had long been erased from modern records. Some were rich in resources, while others housed colonies lost to time. Each discovery made Jax's heart race. The human race had once reached far, and now, through the Celestara, they could do so again. Orion helped him prepare. Navigation systems are ready, propulsion optimized. Life support is functional, but extended missions will require resupply. You must plan carefully. Jax nodded. "I'll be ready. I can do this." But as he prepared, he couldn't shake the thought that others were watching. Alien scouts might still be searching, and some humans, greedy or reckless, could try to claim the Celestara for themselves. Every success came with risk. Yet he felt alive in a way he never had before. One night, as he stood on the observation deck, gazing at a nebula glowing in shades of blue and purple, Jax whispered to himself, "We're not done yet, Orion. We're just getting started." The AI's voice, calm and steady, replied, "Indeed, Jax. Humanity has been underestimated for centuries. Now it is time to show the galaxy what we are capable of." With that, the Celestara floated silently, its systems humming, ready for the next chapter of its journey. And in that quiet, Jax understood something profound. Humans were not defined by their weaknesses, but by their ability to adapt, to think, to survive. And now, with the Celestara at his command, he would take that truth to the stars. Unknown to him, far across the galaxy, eyes watched. Rival factions, curious aliens, and long-forgotten human colonies stirred at the sudden awakening of the Celestara. Some saw a threat, others saw hope. But all recognized one thing: humanity had returned to the stage, and this time they would not be ignored. Jax smiled, a spark of determination in his eyes. Adventure awaited, challenges would come, and danger was certain, but so was the ingenuity of the human mind. And with the Celestara, he was ready to prove it to the universe. The stars outside the Celestara's observation deck glittered like diamonds scattered across black velvet. Jax Torrens stood there, arms crossed, staring at the distant coordinates on the navigation map. Each point represented a lost human colony, a forgotten world, or a resource-rich planet waiting to be rediscovered. For the first time in his life, he felt the weight of destiny pressing on his shoulders, but it was a weight he welcomed. Orion's voice broke the silence. "Jax, the next system is uncharted. Sensors detect no immediate threats, but caution is advised. Some areas may have been claimed by other civilizations during humanity's absence." Jax nodded. "We've come too far to turn back now. Let's find them, Orion." The Silistara glided through space with a quiet confidence. Its engines, newly awakened, purred with power, responding instantly to every input. Jax had spent months learning its systems, and the ship seemed to trust him as much as he trusted it. The legacy of humanity flowed through this vessel, 100 years of knowledge, ingenuity, and ambition, now in the hands of one determined human. As they entered the first system on the map, something unusual appeared on the sensors: movement. At first it seemed like natural space debris, but Orion detected patterns that were deliberate, artificial. Jax leaned forward, scanning the monitors. "Looks like ships," he said quietly. Orion confirmed. "They are approaching rapidly. Unknown origin." "The energy signatures do not match known human or allied systems." Jax frowned. He had anticipated alien scavengers, but these ships were different, sleek, fast, and intelligent. Whoever they were, they had been waiting, observing humanity's return. And now they were coming for the Silistara. "Let's make this interesting," Jax muttered, hands moving over the controls. The alien vessels opened fire first. Beams of energy streaked through space, attempting to disable the Silistara's shields, but Jax was ready. With Orion's guidance, he activated the ship's experimental defensive systems: pulse shields, holographic decoys, and auxiliary energy bursts that sent waves of interference across the attackers, targeting arrays. For the first time, the Silistara fought not just to survive, but to assert itself. The ship moved with precision, weaving between asteroid belts and debris fields, each maneuver demonstrating the unmatched adaptability of human reflexes and ingenuity. The aliens were powerful, but they were unprepared for the creativity of a human pilot who could think outside any tactical expectation. Hours passed in a tense dance of attack and evasion. Jax relied on everything he knew about the ship's century-old systems, improvising new strategies on the fly. He activated hidden thrusters to change velocity abruptly, tricking the enemy ships into collisions with space debris. Holographic projections created multiple illusions of the Silistara, confusing the aliens and causing their attacks to scatter. Orion spoke in a calm but impressed tone. "Your adaptability is remarkable. Humans truly possess an ability to overcome what seems impossible." Jax smiled, adrenaline surging. "We're not done yet. Keep the systems online." Finally, after a series of clever maneuvers, the alien ships hesitated. They had underestimated a human's ingenuity and the power of a ship designed by humans for humans. Seeing their hesitation, Jax took a risk. He initiated a long-dormant propulsion system, the legacy engines, designed for rapid acceleration and extreme maneuvers. The Silistara surged forward, disappearing into the shadow of a nearby nebula, leaving the aliens behind and confused. Breathing heavily, Jax leaned back in the captain's chair. "We made it, Orion, but that was just the start." Orion's voice softened. "Indeed, Jax, there are still colonies to find. The map indicates several worlds where humans may have survived in isolation. These discoveries will change the course of human history." The first colony they located was a small world hidden in a dense asteroid belt. Communication systems had been offline for decades, and the colony's inhabitants had grown wary of outsiders. When Jax contacted them, their initial skepticism turned to amazement as he presented the Silistara. The ancient ship, restored and alive, was proof of humanity's enduring capability. Word of Jax and the Celestara spread quickly. Other lost human colonies began to respond, and humans across systems realized that one of their own had awakened a forgotten giant. Jax used the Celestara to send coordinates, knowledge, and tools, reigniting connections between isolated human communities. But even as hope grew, challenges persisted. Rival alien factions, curious observers, and uncooperative human settlements emerged, testing the resolve of Jax and the Celestara. Each encounter required clever thinking, negotiation, and strategic use of the ship's legacy systems. Through every challenge, humans showed their greatest strength, adaptability. Jax often reflected on the journey. He had begun as a simple mechanic, struggling to survive in a scrapyard. Now he commanded a century-old ship, guiding humanity's return to prominence in a galaxy that had largely forgotten it. The Celestara was more than metal and circuits. It was a symbol of human potential. In one decisive moment, a hostile alien fleet attempted to blockade a resource-rich planet critical to human recovery. Outnumbered and outgunned, Jax devised a daring plan. Using a combination of speed, stealth, and ingenuity, he maneuvered the Celestara through a narrow space canyon. The aliens followed blindly, only to be trapped by natural energy fields that disrupted their systems. With precise timing, Jax used the ship's auxiliary energy grids to disable the remaining alien vessels without loss of human life. Orion commented, "Your tactical thinking surpasses recorded human strategies. You have not only protected your people, but demonstrated a capability that even advanced civilizations fail to anticipate." Jax smirked. "We humans are full of surprises." With each success, more lost colonies rejoined the network of humanity. Knowledge, resources, and technology flowed once again between worlds, strengthening human presence across the galaxy. Jax realized that the true power of the Celestara was not just in its systems or legacy weapons. It was in what it represented: human ingenuity, resilience, and courage. Months later, as the Celestara approached another distant colony, Jax stood on the observation deck, watching stars streak past the viewport. The AI Orion spoke softly. "Jax, humanity's spark has been reignited. You have done more than awaken a ship. You have restored hope." Jax nodded, eyes shining with determination. "It's only the beginning. There are still worlds to find, challenges to face, and proof to give that humans are not to be underestimated. We've survived a century of obscurity. Now we will thrive." The ship's engines thrummed beneath him, a steady heartbeat of a vessel that had waited 100 years for this moment. Jax realized that the Celestara's journey mirrored humanity itself, dormant at times, overlooked, underestimated, yet capable of rising to greatness when the moment called. As the ship entered the orbit of the next colony, Jax activated the communications array. Holographic projections of human faces, scientists, explorers, children, appeared, their eyes filled with wonder and hope. He smiled. Humanity had returned not through conquest or force, but through courage, intelligence, and the unyielding determination to reach for the stars. Orion spoke with a note of pride. "The Celestara is yours, Jax, and through you, humanity's legacy will endure." Jax took a deep breath, feeling the weight and thrill of responsibility. "We've got work to do, Orion, but I think we're ready." The stars stretched endlessly before them, full of possibilities and mysteries. The Celestara moved forward with confidence, guided by a human mind that refused to quit. Across the galaxy, humans began to realize their potential was greater than they had imagined. And somewhere in the dark reaches of space, old alien observers watched the rise of humanity anew, learning a truth that countless civilizations had underestimated. The human spirit, when awakened, was unstoppable. Jax Torin looked out into the void, a small grin forming on his face. Adventure awaited, challenges would come, and danger was certain, but so was human ingenuity. With the Celestara at his command, he would lead humanity to rediscover the galaxy, proving once and for all that humans were capable of greatness beyond measure. The journey had only begun, but for the first time in a century, humanity's spark burned brightly, guided by a mechanic who dared to awaken the past and chart the course of the future.